What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Thanksgiving 2024 here in America. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Hopefully you're spending some quality time with friends and family, all while devouring some delicious food, while also giving thanks for everything great in your life. Now, here on the Beer Patrol, most years on Thanksgiving, I try to review a beer that invokes the holiday spirit, and I think this beer right here in front of me is totally one of those beers. So the beer I'm reviewing comes from the Saint Arnold Brewing Company, and they are out of Houston, Texas, and this is their Pumpkinator, the Bourbon Barrel Aged variant. This is the 2024 release. So this is Imperial Pumpkin Stout that is aged in bourbon barrels. It comes in at 13.6% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. And this bottle is just under 2 months old. And I'm going to give a huge thanks and shout out to a friend of mine and fellow beer reviewer, Greg Shawinsky, for this beer. So huge thanks to him for this one. In the description box, I'll post a link to Greg's Instagram page. Yes, his Instagram page. That's because he reviews beers on Instagram. And him and I were talking earlier this year, and he knew that Pumpkinator was the only pumpkin beer on my beer bucket list, and he wanted to get it my way this year so I could review it for the 10 days of pumpkin. Unfortunately, some things happened that he couldn't get to the beers to me for the 10 days of pumpkin, but he sent them after Halloween. On double unfortunate, because during transit, the base Pumpkinator leaked from the cap. So he sent me the base Pumpkinator, which is in a big 22 fluid ounce bottle, and he sent me the Bourbon Barrel Aged variant. The regular one leaked. I'm surprised they delivered it because the entire box was soaking wet. Probably lost 3 or 4 ounces of the base. I cracked it open to see if it could be saved. It was dead flat. It seemed like it was oxidized, and I didn't think drinking it was the right play. Unfortunately, drain poured it. I let Greg know. He, obviously understood. I feel bad for Greg because he spent his hard-earned money. He sent them my way, and it wasn't his fault. It wasn't, the delivery fault. It wasn't my fault. Sometimes you get faulty caps, and I thought at first maybe the beer had cracked or something, like the actual bottle, and it didn't. It was leaking from the cap, and that is a total bummer. However, him and I talked, and next year for the 10 Days of Pumpkin, he's going to try and send the base Pumpkinator, and I'm going to send him a couple local pumpkin beers to kind of make it even, because I feel really bad about it. However, the bright side of the entire beer mail is the fact that the Bourbon Barrel Aged version made it through, and we are reviewing it for Thanksgiving. So huge thanks once again to Greg for this. I've always wanted to try the base, but now I get to try the Bourbon Barrel Aged version. Hopefully it's delicious. So essentially this is their Pumpkinator, which is Imperial Stout that is brewed with pumpkins, molasses, brown sugar, and spices. They don't say the spices. And then for this version, they age it in bourbon barrels. 13.6%, a huge beer, but I'm thinking this is gonna be like a boozy pumpkin pie, or like pumpkin pie if you had a side of coffee with maybe some stuff going on. Oh, it's rising a little bit. Maybe coffee with like a shot of Kahlua or something, and I don't know. Like, I'm just hoping this is delicious. So we're gonna use the Elysian pour the gourd glass, because some unfortunate news in the last couple days that Elysian Brewing Company is shutting down. I think they're going to just, AB InBev is, I think, going to continue to brew like their main beers. I don't know what that means for the pumpkin beers. I love their pumpkin variety pack, where you get the Night Owl, you get the Great Pumpkin, you get Dark of the Moon, and Punkachino, one of the best values when it comes to pumpkin beers. Really bummed out that that might be trashed. I don't know. I hope not, but I guess we'll see. So that's actually like a dark brown, or like a cola color pouring out. It's not as I'm gonna pour this entire thing in because I'm drinking this entire bottle. So yeah, that was crazy how that was pouring. I was thinking it was gonna be really, really dark. It is not really, really dark. It's it's more of like a dark brown. Now in the glass, that is, a very dark brown. On camera, it's gonna look pitch black. Hold up to light. Yeah, definitely more like a cola, root beer, Dr. Pepper vibe. There's like lighter brown hints at the bottom. This is definitely more dark brown. It had about a finger of this straight up brown colored head that is now dissipated. It is almost 14% aged in bourbon barrels. There are sheets, not alcohol, like sheets on the side of the glass. Yeah, but it had almost a finger of this straight up brown colored, or like mocha colored head dissipating. But again, you got the adjuncts, and on top of that, you have it aging in barrels, so you're probably not going to retain head. But that looked really nice for what it is. So let's get a nose. Wow, that smells really fucking good. I'm getting cinnamon and nutmeg off the rip. And then a peppery kind of bourbon. So it's kind of intertwining, like the peppery kind of spicy bourbon blending beautifully with the spices. Underneath that mocha, definitely a big coffee and chocolate kind of vibe. Brown sugar for sure. I think I'm going to sneeze, so if I end up sneezing, I'm going to cut it out. I think the spices are kind of getting to me. Wow, yeah, so it's basically mocha. So there's some roasted malt, but then there's like a dark chocolate, there's like an espresso. It combines to form like a mocha character. Then there's this like accentuated brown sugar note, but then it's blanketed by this peppery bourbon with the spices hitting on top. Kind of smells like if you combined a pumpkin pie, because it has like, again, the brown sugar with the spices. There's also a little bit of like, I would say more of like a dark brown bread. Wouldn't necessarily say like a graham cracker or like an actual pie crust, but let's just say it has like a darker bready tone. So let's just say you got a pumpkin pie, you stuffed in the glass, you put some coffee in here, you put a little bit of chocolate to get the mocha vibes, and then on top of that, it's 13.6%. It's barrel aged. You definitely get the bourbon. There's a touch of an umami note here too. Like I don't get that a lot, more in like aged beers, but there's like a little bit of a savory umami note. It smells really good. Definitely smells boozy though. It smells like it's 12+%. The fact that it's 13.6 makes sense. Yeah, I want to get into it. So thanks again to Greg, and cheers everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Ooh. I'll tell you right up front, the reason why I dig this beer off that first sip, it's almost 14%, and it is not crazy sweet. I thought this would be a big, sweet, boozy monster of a beer. It's not that sweet. It's actually quite dry and somewhat bitter on the finish, which is beautiful. Another sip. All right, so I can't speak to the base beer in terms of body and mouthfeel. This is a bit thin. It's almost 14%. It's like lower side of full to medium full, so it is a touch thin. It really doesn't bother me too much, but I could see someone wanting to drink this and be like, it's a bit thin for what I'm looking for. I could see that. For me, I'm not too hung up on it, but it is a slight detriment to the beer. The mouthfeel is moderately carbonated. It has a nice effervescent kind of like spritzy carbonation that isn't too big. It has a smoothness to it, not really creamy. I actually like the fact that it's not like tepid and flat. A lot of barrel-aged beers, a lot of times don't have a big carbonation. This is like, I think, perfectly carbonated for like if this was just a regular Imperial Stout. But the fact is barrel-aged, I was thinking it was going to be like a little bit softer and maybe a little bit more creamy, but it's not. I think I'm okay with that. So I think the mouthfeel is really nice. Body's a touch thin, but still nice as well. The taste is wild. It takes the taste buds for a ride. Forefront, definite roasted malt, almost a cherry, like it's a deeply roasted malt, which is weird because in the nose I wasn't getting that. Right after that mocha vibes, it's dark chocolate, it's espresso, or like a nicely like full-on roasted coffee, like a dark roast. You combine the two, and again, there's no coffee in here, but it's just like again, that could be like the charred kind of charred malt or what I perceive to be charred malt is kind of giving off that like espresso or deeply dark roasted coffee, combining with the dark chocolate, again, all from the malt, beautiful off from with that mocha vibe. Right after that though, caramel, big brown sugar, a little bit of that molasses that's in here, maybe even a touch of like toffee. And then midway through the palate is where the barrel comes to play. And what I like about the barrel is that it's not too much, it's not too impactful, it's just enough to kind of accentuate the base. It has a really nice peppery kind of sweeter bourbon note. It's accentuated by a vanilla character that's there as well. The finish is the best part because you not only get the first half of the palate with the mocha and the charred malt and everything, but then, it's like a avalanche rolling downhill where it picks everything up. So it's like picks up the first half of the palate. Then you get the barrel I was talking about. And then on the finish, the spices come to play, and it's cinnamon, nutmeg, maybe a touch of allspice, and it works beautifully in conjunction with the spicy kind of peppery bourbon from the barrel. It finishes with like a moderate oak tannin dryness. This is mildly bitter. maybe a touch. Like I'd say this is. Let me take that back. This is more like full on dry with a mild to moderate bitterness. I think the reason why, like, when after that first sip, I said, "Wow, this isn't super sweet," is because it's not. Like the forefront isn't like super sweet over the top malt like you'd get in, like, say like a pastry stout, or say like an English barley wine or something. It's pretty well balanced, but it's also, while being rich and decadent, it's not overly sweet. I think that's kind of wild. I think the balance is really nice in this. 13.6%. Warming in my chest, little stringy on my palate. I wouldn't guess over 12 though. So it hides the alcohol well. So I think if I was doing a blind with the thin body and then the alcohol, I'd probably guess around 12. So it definitely hides it to some degree. This is really nice. Is it amazing? I don't think it's amazing as in like I'm going to lose my shit over this one. But now I can see what the base Pumpkinator is bringing to the table. And I'm thinking that that's going to be an awesome beer on its own. But this, for a bourbon barrel aged Imperial Pumpkin Stout, it's really well done. It's, I'd happily drink this at any point. If this was local to me, I'd definitely buy at least a bottle, if not a 4-pack every year, just to have. Definitely something to share with people too. You don't see a lot of huge Imperial pumpkin stouts aged in barrels. At least here in my area, there's only a couple like barrel aged pumpkin stouts or pumpkin beers as a whole. So yeah, I'm really happy I was able to finally try this one. So thank you, Greg. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna do one more sip and then I'm gonna formulate a rating and then we'll finish this up. Yeah, the finish is the best part about this beer. It almost, and I know this is gonna sound weird, it almost gives me like Dr. Pepper, like cola vibes. It's that spicy, like that spicy of like just a bunch of different spices, but it's really nice. Yeah, so Pumpkinator, the bourbon barrel aged variant, the 2024 release from Saint Arnold. Give this a high 4.25 and go 4.35. A little bigger body, and I think this gets into like a 4.4 to like a 4.5. But as is, a 4.35 is a really nice score for this, and it's really good. And I'd say if you can get your hands on St. Arnold stuff, if you're in the South, like I think they get into like Texas, Louisiana, maybe even Florida, seek this one out. I think it would be right in your wheelhouse if you like barrel-aged beers and you like pumpkin beers in general. Like it's a great combo. It really is. So 4.35 out of 5. Super happy I was able to try any kind of Pumpkinator for sure. Price point availability. This is where I will say I have no idea. Like I said, availability, it's in the South. I think they're available again. And outside of Texas would be Louisiana, maybe Florida. I could be wrong on that. But if anybody out there knows the availability or the price point, I'm not even going to guess the price point. I don't know. I would hope that, you wouldn't break the bank for this, but I really have no idea. So Greg or anybody else who watches this and get your hands on this, what is the going rate for this beer? I'm assuming it comes in 4-packs, so I would love to know. I will leave you with this. If you like pumpkin beers, more specifically pumpkin stouts and Imperial pumpkin stouts, and you like barrel-aged beers, and you can get your hands on this one, you're doing yourself a disservice not to try this one out because it's damn tasty. My only issue with it is the fact that I wasn't able to try the base one, and that's no fault to anybody, but I guess the beer gods who decided that that beer was going to leak and there's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, anyway, once again, I hope everybody out there had a fantastic and happy Thanksgiving. I can't wait for it. I'm obviously shooting this one a couple days in advance. So yeah, be on the lookout tomorrow for a Black Friday review of an actual Goose Island Bourbon County brand stout, old school vintage variant, because I don't really review Bourbon County brand stouts on Black Friday like a lot of folks do. So I'm changing it up this year and we're going to do it. So I'm going to shut this one down. If you had this one before, please post in the comment section whether it's a prior vintage, this year's, if you've had the base, if you've had anything Pumpkinator, let me know. I would love to hear from you. And once again, huge thanks to Greg for this one. Really cool to finally try any kind of Pumpkinator from St. Arnold, and it kind of lived up to the hype, to be honest with you. Can't wait to try the regular one though. So I'm going to shut this one down. Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.